Okay, Curt, less than a week from your 2018 season opener at Minot State. Do you like where your team is at this point, and what do you need to work on the next 5 or so days before heading out west?
I do. You know, coming into the season, you always wonder where your chemistry is going to be at throughout camp, and I think as far as a competitive nature and what we've accomplished throughout camp, it's as good as we've had. So we're deep in some positions. We've had some underclassmen that have pushed upperclassmen probably in the majority of our spots, and that has helped with the competitive nature and guys bringing energy every day to practice. So, you know, things that we need to work on. It's tough heading into game one when you don't know schematically, probably in all 3 phases, exactly what you're going to get. So we're continuing this week, you know, and heading into early next week, just kind of making sure that our schematics are buttoned up. And, you know, I think game one is about execution and making sure you can take care of the football.
And then previewing the 2018 Bulldogs' first offense up front, you returned 4 or 5 your starters on the offensive line. That's got to make things a lot easier for your ball-moving efforts. Tell us a little bit about that group.
It does. You know, we returned Matt Juneau at left tackle. Matt last year was coming off a pretty severe ankle injury. He returns. He's back. He's healthy. Jason Anderson certainly as an offensive captain for us at our center position. Joe Urnadich will return as a 2-year starter for us at guard. At right tackle, we've moved Trapper Ward out. Trapper's a returning all-conference offensive lineman. We've moved him out to tackle, and then we're probably going to play a couple guards. Noah LeBlanc at right guard, and also Brent Lang. Both those guys will play that position, but those guys have been fluid up front. You know, they've communicated well, they've gelled well up front, and, you know, heading into last year, going back to last year, that was a spot that we had got a lot of guys in limbo, and making sure we're cohesive with that unit has been important, and so far they've done a really good job in camp.
You also welcome back 3 veteran quarterbacks in John Larson, Ben Everhart, and Mike Grabarczyk, all of whom took a healthy amount of snaps last fall and handled starting roles. Earlier this week you announced that John Larson was going to be your opening day starter. What made him stand out in that trio during that kind of assignment? Yeah,
probably one of the tougher fall camp decisions and conversations I've had with all 3 of those guys. Not something that I look forward to. Certainly with Ben and Mike, you know, having that conversation, that those guys, they know, number one, they're really good leaders. They know that. They're good football players. They understand that, and they're also seasoned. So to have that conversation with those 2 guys, to tell them that they weren't going to start, wasn't a fun thing. And, you know, it seems like they've taken it well. They've continued to compete in the film room, compete on the practice field, and bring good energy. John, you know, I think as far as a runner, the ability to extend plays, that's one thing that he separates himself with. You know, and John obviously continues to lead it, you know, just like those other 2 have. So we're excited to have John as our starter and feel really good about the guys that we have behind him right now. And similar to our right guard position, I've talked to John about this. You know, we're not going to leave it outside the possibility to play multiple quarterbacks, you know, certainly into week 1 and probably beyond.
You also seem to be in pretty good shape, to say the least, at the wideout position with the return of seniors Jason Baltz and Nate Ritchie. It's a pretty good nucleus to build from. Who else do you see doing some of the ball catching?
It is, you know, and I think just the leadership that you get from both those guys so far throughout fall camp has been great. They've done a good job. A guy like Obi Ibanemi, Nick Eliason, Johnny McCormick, those 3 guys who have played really spot time and spot roles for us in the past have had tremendous off seasons. They've played behind guys like James Conner and have developed into now upperclassmen for us. So those 3 guys are going to rotate with Baltz and Ritchie. Those will be probably our 5 main guys at the wide receiver position, along with Dane Hudson, who was a redshirt for us last year. Dane's a guy that we can use in all sorts of different spots. He's a slot guy for us that we'll probably see out of the backfield at times as well.
Now with the loss of your leading ground gainer from a year ago, and Anthony Wood, who do you see picking up that ball carrying slack for your club?
Yeah, but it is a little nerve-wracking heading into the season without a guy that's certainly carried the load throughout a game for us. And I think I didn't know this, but John Larson is our returning yard our gainer. So that's been a tough thing this fall camp. I think Wade Sullivan, Josh Carfanta, those guys have had really good fall camps. Both those guys probably could have played for us last year. We made the decision to redshirt them just based on they needed physically to get better, and they've done that this offseason. So we're going to head into this season with those 2 guys as our primaries. Griffin Hill will play when he's healthy. I know those 3 guys will probably carry the load for us in the backfield.
Switching over on the defensive side of the football, what do you see as some of UMD's strengths?
Well, I think leadership. We return a lot of guys up there, starting with our two captains, A.J. Nats and Mitchell Johnson, guys like Sam Lynch and Bill Atkins. Those DeAndre Greer certainly on our defensive line, and Tom Johnson. Those guys have all, Alex Helmer, they've all played a lot of football for us. So you look at where we're at as far as returning starters. I think we have 5 or 6 guys maybe as returning starters, so to speak, but all those guys have played a lot of snaps for us at UMD. So I think just, again, the cohesion right now of our defense, those guys are coming off a tremendous end of the second half of the season last year. They've been playing with a lot of confidence. We were fortunate we've added a couple transfer corners. Tariq Abulabe has given us something at corner that we were missing. Michael Kirkendall's done a good job out there, along with Justice King and Javian Bursey. All those guys have played well at the corner position. So it gives us, as far as our competitive nature and our depth in the secondary, gives us an opportunity to move around guys like Mitchell Johnson. We returned Bryce Edis at the nickel position. Bryce played a lot of spots for us. So we have guys like Mitchell that can play multiple spots and give us a little bit of depth in every spot and contribute. Has been is certainly out of fall camp here a luxury that we maybe haven't had in the past.
Without giving away any war secrets, are there any areas of concern on defense? Any things you think they need a little bit of?
Well, I think until you're tested, you don't really know that. We've made some adjustments. We have the addition in our secondary right now of Coach Nate Johnson. Nate's brought some different things schematically to our defense, which has been really good throughout fall camp. But again, until you're tested on game day, I think that's probably a concern in all 3 phases. That we're going to see how we gel, how we respond to adversity. We go through fall camp with 22, 23 seniors. You don't have a lot of adversity because those guys have kind of been through it and they're taking the reins. So that's the one thing that maybe we're looking forward to at Minot is being on the road, handling adversity, handling heat, and seeing when the bullets start to fly here, how our guys are going to respond.
Statistically speaking, the Bulldogs have always ranked first, or ranked among the NCAA 2 leaders in time of possession pretty much every year since you joined the staff as an offensive coordinator a decade ago. Kurt, how do you account for that? Is that something by design? Obviously the other team can't score if you have the football, but how is it that you're able to hold on to that football year in, year out?
Well, I think a couple things have happened. First of all, in 2008, when I was offense coordinator through 12, we did a lot of more under center, ball control type offense. Now that Coach Larson, Coach Pauly have come on board, we've maybe spread things out a little bit more, put the ball in there a little bit more, but we are also still huddling, and there's not a lot of teams that still huddle. So I think that attributes to some of that. I think we've generally had good offensive lines. We've had the ability to rush the football and control the clock in late in the football game when we've needed to. Last year, you look at defensively what we did in the turnover margin. Defensively, we got the ball back. We got the ball back to our offense quick in some of those possessions. So there's a lot of things I think that play into that. But I do think just our offense hanging our hats on, hey, at some point we're going to need to be able to rush football, control the ball, has been an important standard that we've kind of hung our hat on at UMD.
And then looking at the 2018 NSIC race, the coaches in the annual preseason poll pretty much picked the 4 teams who led the way in the overall standings last year. That's Minnesota State, Mankato, Sioux Falls, Winona State, and UMD to be the front runners again this fall. Is that a fair forecast in your opinion?
I think so. I think I had certainly the top 3 teams ranked like that. You go off last year's and guys that are returning quarterbacks, everything else, and I know this. I've talked to our guys about this a lot. We haven't won a season opener in 3 years, so we're not looking at preseason polls or postseason polls or rankings or anything else. We're worried about Minot and one game at a time at this point, and sometimes that's just coach speak. But when you haven't won a season opener in 3 years, and it puts your back against the wall as far as a playoff race early in the season, we need to focus on one play at a time heading to Minot.
Final question. UMD tradition of welcoming back Bulldog teams to campus continues this fall, as you will have both Jim Milowski's very first team from 1958 as well as the 2008 National Championships paying a visit this fall. That 2008 group has to truly be a special one for you, being that it was your first year on the Bulldog staff. What do you remember most about that group?
Yeah, I think the thing I remember most about that group is the standard that they set just in our locker room, the chemistry in our locker room, the way we behave, the way we practice, and we're very fortunate to have the guys, the Ted Schlafkes and Tyler Yelks and Jim Johnsons, Nate Byers. Those guys led that group, certainly, along with everybody else. But I think, as a coaching staff, as a program, we've been given a lot of credit in the years past for all the wins that we've continued to get. And the credit really needs to go to those guys, that group, that team that decided to stay in the summer and work out and put all of anything else, the extracurriculars that were going off the field, aside and focus on football and doing the right things off the field. So we owe that group a lot. I'm excited to see those guys back. I think we have in upwards of 55, 60 RSVPs right now. So I know those guys will be excited to get back. Some of those guys haven't been back since 2008. So it'll be a good group to have back and shake their hand and really thank them for what they've given to our football program.